consider this a very, very important day. And, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. We love it.
You're welcome.
And we do have a proclamation that we issued a couple of weeks ago on the resolution, and we're going to give it to Mike Momsen to take back to Lane. And it says, whereas former United States Representative Lane Evans was first elected to the 17th Congressional District seat on November 3rd, 1982, and represented the Quad Cities in Congress for 24 years. During his tenure, Representative Evans worked to retain Rock Island Arsenal jobs, assist veterans, and move the Quad Cities forward in countless ways. And whereas there's a growing movement to name or rename a street in the Quad Cities area for former Representative Evans, and whereas Mr. Evans' legacy of tireless service to the people of the Quad Cities should be honored with a street bearing his name, and whereas for many years during his career, Representative Evans lived at 1516 37th Street, Rock Island. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Rock Island, State of Illinois, that 37th Street, Rock Island, from 12th to 18th Avenue, be ceremoniously named Lane Evans Drive, and that the appropriate signage indicating this designation be added to the signage currently in that area, which that's what we're going to do today. Now, actually, we received a call from Senator Durbin asking us to do something, and then later we did get a resolution from the House of Representatives that was from Pat Verschoor and Mike Smitty and Don Moffitt also asking us to do something, so we definitely needed and wanted to do something. And we looked at the area, we talked to Phil, we talked to Doug, and said, what can we do? They said, well, this is where Lane lived. This is the most appropriate place. So we took this area and we're going to rename it Lane Evans Drive. We'll be unveiling that in a few minutes. So with that, Phil, do you have a few comments?
Well, I just want to thank you all for coming, and Mayor, and to all the elected officials that made this a reality on behalf of Lane. I want to thank you for that. He's a, you know, we walked by his house, a few of us, and if you look at it, it doesn't, it's not what you call palatial, but it is Lane. It's who Lane is and who he was. I had the privilege of working for him for almost 24 years and drove up there many times, had a few interesting discussions in the house, as you can imagine, but I can tell you he loved this city and he loved this district and he loved being a member of Congress. And I just have to say that on behalf of Lane, let me thank you all for taking the time out to be here today, for doing this. This means so much to him. He probably would be really mad with you, Mayor, for doing this if he were here, but that's okay. He can't fire you anyway, so. But I would just say that the honor that you're giving to Lane today is the efforts of all of you. He worked for all of us, for veterans and seniors, and for people who didn't have a voice in Congress, small business people and farmers. He wasn't just my boss, he's my friend, and we, you know, we miss him, but we still have him, thank God, and we'll get him by when he's feeling a little bit better to take a look at the sign, and I know he'll be very grateful. So thank you, Mayor, and all of you for making this happen today. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that Lane was a humble public servant, and it was never about Lane. Everywhere Lane went, he humbly spoke of his friends, and he always said, and altogether now, no one had friends like the friends of Lane Evans. And I think that spoke to his character and what he was about. And it was never about him. As Phil said, you know, he never sought any type of recognition for himself. It was always the first people in his mind were those that couldn't defend themselves or were in need and didn't have a voice. Starting from his beginnings at the Prairie State Legal Services, trying to serve and help those people who needed representation there. So thank you very much for this recognition, and it's true, nobody had better friends than Lane.
I'd like to thank the City Council and the Mayor. When the constituent came to talk to us about doing something for Lane, we talked about Avenue of the Cities, and the Mayor said that would be too big of an undertaking and the businesses wouldn't like it. So then we thought we'd try to have something done on the Great River Trail along the river. But they said it was already the Great River Trail, and they said you'd have to get all the mayors to agree to put on an extra signage. So finally we decided, well, we'll go to the mayor. So I called Mayor Pauley, and he was so gracious and acted on it right away, got it done. But I think the thing that I'm really impressed, and Lane would be also, is that all the different people that are here today, from every ethnic group. I think almost every ethnic group is here supporting this, and I think that's a tribute to Lane, because he did help everyone. He was really a great statesman for us, and I think this is just the smallest thing we can do for him. I hope we can get some other streets in other cities named, and if everybody worked with us like the mayor of Rock Island, we should be a great state. Thank you.
We had to say no to add with the cities. It doesn't come into Rock Island. Good word. Lane lived in Rock Island.
I just want to thank everybody for coming today. You know, I learned a lot from Lane Evans. And the most important thing that I learned from Lane Evans is take care of the people that can't take care of themselves. And I think the fact there's so many people here today is testament to Lane Evans. Lane Evans always stayed at events. He was always the last to leave. He made sure that everybody got to say hello. Everybody got to get their question answered. I know when I go that there will be this many people to make sure that I'm gone, not to make sure that I'm here. Amen. I think it's very important that we give this honor to Lane while he's still alive, because too often I think we wait too long to honor people and they don't get to see it. So I think it's highly important, and it's most important that it's on this street, the street where Lane grew up. And you know, that sign is going to say Lane Evans Drive, and the rest of my life, the rest of our lives, our children's lives, people will remember Lane Evans. And they'll not only remember him because he was a great public servant, but because he was a good man. And that's the most important thing. I want to thank the mayor for making our job easier. It was very difficult to get some of the streets we wanted named, but I think somehow this is the most important street in Lane Evans' life. It's his street.
Well, I want to echo that. I want to thank everybody for coming today. And I worked for Lane for 9 years, and it was the best part of my life. I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for Lane. And I appreciate everything that he did for me and everything that he taught me. And when there's a tough vote in Springfield, I always ask myself, what would Lane do? And it was what he always did what was right for his district, what was right for the people of Illinois and the United States. So whenever I forget that, I always remember back to Lane. And I can't say anything but how wonderful Lane was to work for, but more importantly, he was a friend to all of us. And I appreciate the city of Rock Island dedicated this. Thank you very much.
This is Don Lynn.
I would like to thank Lane for everything he's done for the community. When you think about it, a lot of people put words, but when Lane spoke, he put words into action. It's like over at the Arsenal when they were cutting jobs. He personally went to the Arsenal to make sure that he would take care of his community. So when he took that oath that he would serve, protect, and make sure his community was taken care of, he did just that. So the words were strong. When it came to the veterans, he made sure the veterans were taken care of. So yes, I'm proud of Lane Evans, and this is where we first met. This is where we played baseball. I remember the street down there, and now I know why your mom and dad says not to do something, because him and I were riding his bike. Mine had a flat tire, so I was on the handlebars. He hit a pothole, and my ankle went in the wheels. We both fell down. He started laughing. I'd like to thank the community. I'd like to thank everybody for making this work. I know it was a hard job, but we got it done. And it was all a bunch of teamwork, so I want to thank everybody.
Thank you, Don. Don? We're honored to have you do the same. Oh, Lane was, he was in Congress. He would do anything for any constituent to call in. The senior citizens, they knew that he had their back continually. The veterans, Lane was a Marine, so he had the veterans back. He watched the arsenal to make sure that we could get whatever we could get for the arsenal. He was just a great guy and a great congressman.